There's a level of mental clarity that makes decision-making effortless and focus unbreakable. And today you'll discover why the most powerful minds in history started every day in complete silence, and how 30 days of silent mornings will give you a level of mental control that most people will never experience. Have you ever met someone whose mind seems completely unshakable, who makes decisions instantly without second-guessing, who can focus for hours without distraction, who never seems overwhelmed or mentally scattered? While you're waking up to a flood of notifications, immediately checking your phone, filling your head with other people's thoughts and problems before you've even processed your own, they're spending the first 2 hours of their day in complete silence. No phone, no music, no podcast, no conversation, no input of any kind, just silence. And you know what people say about them? They're introverted, they're antisocial, they're weird for not wanting to talk in the morning. But what if I told you that neuroscientists have discovered that the first 2 hours after waking are when your brain is in a theta wave state, the most programmable state your mind can be in? And whoever controls the input during those 2 hours controls your entire mental state for the day. Ancient monks understood this 3,000 years ago. They called it Shomoku no Jikan, the time of silence, and they protected it more fiercely than anything else in their practice. Because they knew that if you fill your mind with noise first thing in the morning, you lose your mind for the entire day. But if you protect your morning silence, you gain a level of mental clarity and control that feels like a superpower. It takes 30 consecutive days of silent mornings to fully experience this. 30 days where you speak to no one, consume no content, and process no external input for the first 2 hours after waking. But there's a catch. Modern society will fight you on this. Your family will think you're being rude. Your friends will think you're being antisocial. Your own brain will scream at you to check your phone. You'll have to defend your silence against a world that's addicted to noise. Before I show you exactly how to do this, I invite you to subscribe to the channel, like this video, and comment on what's the first thing you do when you wake up. This helps me understand your current pattern and helps the channel reach people who desperately need this. Thank you so much for your attention. Now, back to the video. The story I'm about to tell you is about a woman named Rachel. Rachel was 38 years old, worked as an executive at a tech company, managed a team of 20 people, and earned a high six-figure salary. On paper, Rachel was crushing it. But inside, Rachel was drowning. Her mind was in chaos. She'd wake up and immediately check her phone. 50 emails, 30 Slack messages, 15 texts, 10 news notifications. Before she even got out of bed, her brain was already processing problems, responding to demands, absorbing information. By the time she started her actual workday, her mental energy was half gone. She'd spend the entire day reacting, putting out fires, responding to messages, attending meetings, making decisions. But none of it felt intentional. She was just responding to whatever was loudest. By evening, she was mentally exhausted but hadn't accomplished anything meaningful. Her brain felt like a browser with 50 tabs open. She couldn't focus on one thing because her mind was scattered across 1,000 inputs. She tried meditation apps, therapy, ADHD medication, digital detoxes on weekends. Nothing worked because she never addressed the root problem. It was polluting her mind every single morning before her brain had a chance to organize itself. Her mental operating system was being hijacked by external input the moment she woke up. Everything changed when Rachel attended a leadership retreat in Japan. Part of the retreat involved staying at a Zen monastery for 3 days. The monastery had one strict rule: complete silence until 10 in the morning. No talking, no phones, no books, no music, no input, just silence. Rachel thought it would be torture. The first morning she woke up at 6. Her hand instinctively reached for her phone. It wasn't there. The monks had collected all the devices the night before. She lay in bed feeling anxious, uncomfortable, and almost panicked. Her brain didn't know what to do with itself. She got up, washed her face, and sat on the floor of her room. The silence was deafening. Her thoughts were loud, chaotic, overlapping. Work problems, relationship issues, things she needed to do, things she forgot to do. It was overwhelming. But she had no choice. There was nothing to distract herself with. She just sat with the chaos. After 30 minutes, something shifted. The thoughts started slowing down. They became less frantic, less urgent. She could actually observe them instead of being swept away by them. By minute 45, her mind started organizing itself naturally. Important thoughts separated from unimportant ones. Real problems separated from imaginary anxiety. By hour 2, she felt something she hadn't felt in years. Mental clarity. Her mind was calm, organized, ready. When she finally started her day at 10, she felt completely different. Focused, clear, in control. Rachel completed the 3-day monastery stay, 3 mornings of complete silence. By day 3, she didn't want it to end. Her mind had never felt this clear. She realized she'd been living in mental chaos for years without even knowing it. She decided to continue the practice when she got home. She called it her silent morning protocol. For the first 2 hours after waking, complete silence. No phone, no talking, no music, no content, no input, just her and her thoughts. The first week back home was brutal. Her husband thought she was being ridiculous. You can't even say good morning. Her team expected her to respond to overnight messages immediately. Her brain fought her constantly, screaming for stimulation. But she held firm. Silent mornings were non-negotiable. Her husband started respecting the boundary. Her team learned she'd respond after 10. Her brain stopped fighting her. By week 3, Rachel noticed something profound. The decisions she used to agonize over became effortless. The focus she used to struggle to maintain became natural. The mental energy she used to burn through by noon now lasted all day. By day 30, the transformation was complete. Rachel's mind operated at a completely different level. Rachel wanted to understand why silent mornings were so powerful. She found research from a neuroscientist at Harvard who studies brain states. The researcher explained that when you first wake up, your brain is transitioning from delta waves, deep sleep, to theta waves, the state between sleep and wakefulness. Theta is the most programmable brain state. It's when your subconscious is most accessible, when new neural pathways form most easily, when your mind is most receptive to input. Whatever you expose your mind to during this theta window literally programs your brain for the day. If you check your phone, you're programming your brain with other people's agendas, problems, and priorities. Your brain shifts into reactive mode. If you watch news, you're programming your brain with fear, anxiety, and things you can't control. Your baseline stress rises. If you talk to people, you're processing their energy, their mood, their needs before you've processed your own. Your mental state becomes dependent on external factors. But if you maintain complete silence, something remarkable happens. Your brain has space to organize itself. Thoughts that were chaotic become structured. Emotions that were overwhelming become manageable. Priorities that were unclear become obvious. Your brain does what it's designed to do: process, organize, and prepare, without interference. The researcher explained that silent mornings create what's called cognitive sovereignty. Most people's mental state is controlled by external input. They wake up, and immediately other people's thoughts, priorities, and emotions flood their mind. They lose control of their mental state before the day even starts. The people who protect their morning silence maintain cognitive sovereignty. They control what enters their mind and when. Their mental state is internally generated, not externally imposed. This makes them dramatically more effective because they're operating from intention instead of reaction. Rachel also found research from MIT on something called the default mode network. When your brain has no external input to process, it activates the default mode network, which is responsible for self-reflection, future planning, and creative problem-solving. But this network only activates when you're not consuming content. If you're scrolling, reading, listening, or talking, your brain is in processing mode. The default mode network stays offline. Silent mornings allow your default mode network to operate at full capacity. Your brain solves problems you didn't even know you were working on. It generates ideas you couldn't access when you were constantly consuming input. It organizes your priorities without you consciously thinking about it. By month 2, Rachel's life had transformed. She'd been promoted to VP because her decision-making and strategic thinking had become exceptional. Her team noticed she was calmer, more focused, more decisive. Her relationship with her husband improved because she was more present and less reactive. But the most dramatic change was internal. Rachel's mind felt like a tool she controlled instead of a storm she endured. People started asking what she was doing differently. She'd explained the silent morning protocol. Most people rejected it immediately. I have kids, I can't be silent for 2 hours. I need to check work messages first thing. I'd go crazy with nothing to do. But a few people tried it. Her assistant tried it and reported that her anxiety decreased by half. A colleague tried it and said his productivity doubled. Rachel started a small group of executives who committed to 30 days of silent mornings. They'd check in at the end of each week, not during the silent hours. Out of 12 people who started, 9 completed the full 30 days. All 9 reported the same thing. By week 2, mental clarity increased. By week 3, decision-making improved. By week 4, they couldn't imagine going back. The 3 who didn't complete it all broke the silence for emergencies that weren't actually emergencies. They never restarted. Rachel found writings from a Zen master named Hakuin, who lived in 18th century Japan. Hakuin wrote about the practice of chomoku, which means sacred silence. He explained that most people live their entire lives without ever experiencing their own mind in its natural state. From the moment they wake to the moment they sleep, their mind is filled with external input. They never hear their own thoughts clearly. They never process their own emotions fully. 2. They never access their own wisdom directly. They're always responding to noise. Hakuin taught that 1 hour of true silence was worth more than 10 hours of noisy productivity. Because in silence, your mind reveals what actually matters. The problems that seemed urgent become unimportant. The decisions that seemed difficult become obvious. The path that seemed unclear becomes visible. But you can't access this clarity if you never give your mind space to reveal it. Hakuin also wrote that silence isn't the absence of sound, it's the absence of external control. You can be in a silent room and still have a noisy mind if you're processing other people's content. True silence is when your mind is only processing itself. By month 6, Rachel was operating at a level she'd never experienced before. She was working fewer hours but accomplishing more. She was making better decisions with less stress. She was leading her team with a calm confidence that people found magnetic. Her CEO asked her what her secret was. She said, "I start every day in complete silence." He looked confused. "That's it." She said, "That's everything. Most people lose their mind in the first 10 minutes of the day. I will protect mine." The CEO tried it for 2 weeks and then stopped. He said it was too uncomfortable. Rachel realized that most people would rather live in mental chaos than sit with silence, because silence forces you to face your own mind. And most people's minds are full of unprocessed thoughts, unresolved emotions, and uncomfortable truths they've been avoiding with constant noise. Silent mornings don't just give you clarity, they force you to confront whatever you've been distracting yourself from. Rachel found research from a psychologist at Stanford who studies attention and focus. The researcher explained that attention is the most valuable resource in the modern world. Whoever controls your attention controls your life. Most people give away their attention freely. They check their phone, and suddenly they're thinking about things they weren't thinking about. They read the news, and suddenly they're anxious about things they can't control. They talk to someone, and suddenly they're processing that person's emotional state. Their attention is constantly hijacked. But people who practice silent mornings train their attention to be self-directed. They decide what they think about, when they think about it, and for how long. This level of attentional control is rare and incredibly powerful. The researchers' studies show that people who control their morning attention are 4 times more productive and 3 times less stressed than people who let external input control their morning attention. The difference isn't talent or intelligence, it's who controls the input. 1 year after starting silent mornings, Rachel was unrecognizable. She'd been offered a C-suite position at another company with a massive pay increase. She was writing a book on leadership. She was mentoring young executives. But the most profound change was that Rachel trusted her own mind completely. She didn't need external validation for decisions. She didn't need to constantly seek advice or reassurance. Her mind was clear, organized, and reliable. He'd built an unshakable foundation of mental clarity through 30 consecutive months of silent mornings. A neuroscientist at Yale who studies neuroplasticity explains that sustained practices change brain structure. 30 days creates new neural pathways. 6 months strengthens them. 1 year makes them permanent. Rachel's brain had structurally changed. The neural pathways for reactive, scattered thinking had atrophied. The neural pathways for intentional, focused thinking had become dominant. This wasn't a temporary habit. It was a permanent upgrade to how her brain operated. The question now is, are you ready to try this? Are you ready to commit to 30 days of silent mornings? Because here's the truth. You already know your mind is scattered. You already know you start every day reacting instead of creating. You already know you'd be more focused, more decisive, and more effective if you protected your mental state instead of letting it be controlled by external input. The silent morning protocol is simple but requires discipline. For the first 2 hours after waking, complete silence. No phone, no talking, no music, no podcasts, no content, no input of any kind. You can sit, walk, shower, make coffee, journal, and think. But no consumption, no external input, just you and your mind. Do this for 30 consecutive days and your brain will transform. Mental clarity will become your default state. Decision-making will become effortless. Focus will become natural. If you're going to do this, I want you to comment below with your commitment. Say 30 days of silent mornings starting and put your start date. Make it public. That's your declaration. Then set a non-negotiable boundary with everyone in your life. For 2 hours every morning, you're unavailable. Not because you're being rude, because you're protecting your mind. People will resist. Your family will think it's strange. Your co-workers will think it's impractical. Your own brain will fight you, but hold firm. Your mental sovereignty is worth defending. On day 30, come back to this video and tell everyone what happened. Tell me if your mind feels different. Tell me if decisions became easier. Tell me if focus has improved, because I already know they will. Subscribe to the channel, activate the bell, and get ready for mental domination. Remember, whoever controls your morning input controls your mind. Take back control. If you've made it this far, thank you so much for your attention. See you in the next video.